From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
A two-day standoff between law officers and a man who twice fired a gun at them is now over, and the man is in custody. How it all ended is just ahead.
And we're still waiting. Who will be the new head football coach for Montana State University? Coming up, we have key tip on who has the inside track.
Well, it is 6:30 for you. You're watching Montana This Morning. Holly Brantley, Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell here, and we are looking like we're bracing for a little more snow, perhaps, Matt?
We are. We had a little snow overnight, and that's made things a little slick on a few area roadways, but really it's more toward tonight and then on through the weekend that we're going to see the significant snow heading back this direction. Early morning temperatures, teens and 20s. Again, we've got a light dusting of snow. Not a lot of active snow across the area. That was a look at Bozeman Pass. We've had a lot of reports of some snow and ice on that area roadway. We're probably going to deal with heavier snow as you head into the overnight hours once again. Temperatures in the afternoon into the 30s. We will see some late day snow, but we're also going to be dealing with some wind throughout the day. We're going to break down what you can expect through the day today and on through the weekend coming up in just a few minutes.
Your news headlines now. The standoff between police and an armed man in Livingston is over this morning.
Park County Sheriff Brad Bickler says 49-year-old Michael Marfuda was arrested late last night after he opened fire on deputies and officers. He was wounded in a gunfire exchange but has non-life-threatening injuries. The two-day incident began when Marfuda confronted deputies at his View Vista home with a knife and then shot at them 2 times. In those earlier incidents, deputies did not return gunfire. No one was injured. Sheriff Bickler says the standoff and the shots fired by Marfuda posed a high risk to law officers and the community. Neighboring homes were evacuated. Nearby schools were closed. The Red Cross and local emergency management agencies helped to put residents up in hotels. Now, multiple agencies from across the state assisted Park County in the negotiations to try to end that standoff. Marfuda charged with assault with a weapon, obstructing a police officer. Officials say he will face additional charges of attempted homicide and criminal endangerment. He will appear in court as soon as his medical condition allows.
Well, everyone is eager to know who will be the next Bobcats head football coach.
That's true. MTN's Ashley Washburn and John Miller have an update.
We're at Bobcat Stadium where the Montana State head football coaching search is well underway. Yesterday, Bruce Feldman reported that Tim Drevno is a strong candidate for the job. Drevno most recently coached at USC as an offensive line coach.
And we were able to confirm late last night that he's interviewed at least 3 times already with Montana State. Drevno comes from the Jim Harbaugh coaching tree. He does have an MSU connection, being an offensive assistant coach at MSU from 1993 to 1997. The story could break at any moment, but it could also last into the weekend. We'll keep you up to date on montanasports.com.
And that's not the only coaching news we have for you today. One Bobcats coach is taking his talents to the NFL. MTN confirmed that Eric Frazier, the Bobcats wide receivers coach and pass game coordinator, has taken a position as an offensive assistant with the Tennessee Titans under their new offensive coordinator, Todd Downing. Frazier has been a coach with MSU since 2019. For Ashley Washburn, I'm John Miller, MTN Sports.
Other headlines: Bozeman resident Christopher Coburn said he is running for Bozeman City Commission. Coburn, who currently serves on the Gallatin City County Board of Health, is a member of the Gallatin County COVID-19 Distribution Task Force, applied for a seat on the commission back in October 2020 to fill a vacancy after Mayor Chris Mell resigned. Coburn was not appointed but received support in public comment. Coburn says his professional background and experiences would give him a unique voice on the commission.
Right now I'm 29. I don't own a home, I rent. I have student loans. So I think the experience of people who are actually confronted with some of our biggest challenges as a community, those are experiences that I share that aren't necessarily represented currently on the commission.
The election for the Bozeman City Commission will be in November. Well, a few years ago, Gallatin County set out to improve the radio infrastructure among rural fire departments.
Yeah, back in September, MSU Police Department as well as the Bozeman Fire and Police Departments began working with Gallatin County 911 Center to get radio equipment to fire departments in more rural communities like Three Forks, Manhattan, and Amsterdam. Firefighters there were worried about the cost of such an upgrade. Now, the upgrade would be an 800 megahertz system, and together the 3 departments were able to donate around 150 radios to several rural agencies.
A new destination will be available for Butte residents who like to get out and walk. A new addition to the Silver Bow Creek Greenway Trail is in the works. The new part of the Greenway Trail will start at Fairmont Road and connect to the German Gulch Bridge.
And we're really excited because that's a segment of the corridor I think that people will really enjoy. There's also a fish barrier there. It was constructed to keep the native cutthroat trout from being contaminated by other species getting into their arena, and we participated in developing that, so folks will be able to have non-motorized access to the fish barrier, which is really kind of a fun thing to see, those poor fish trying to jump up the barrier.
Pretty cool. Construction on the new trail section will begin this summer.
In other headlines this morning, the 2 Republican members of Montana's congressional delegation have introduced bills to overturn President Biden's decision to halt construction of the Keystone XL oil pipeline, and the delegation's only Democratic member, Senator Jon Tester, asking the president to reconsider. This week, Congressman Matt Rosendale, Senator Steve Daines introduced bills to authorize construction of the pipeline, which would cross a 285-mile route in northeast Montana. They say canceling the pipeline kills many jobs and substantial property tax revenue in the future for state government and several counties and schools in eastern Montana. Senator Tester, a Democrat, also wrote a letter to President Biden saying the pipeline could be built with strict environmental protections. The pipeline would carry crude oil from the Canadian tar sands in Alberta and also have a loading terminal for oil produced in North Dakota and Montana. Environmentalists have long opposed the pipeline, saying it's not needed and will contribute to global warming. Well, it's not immediately clear whether either of the bills will be scheduled for a hearing in the U.S. Senate or in the U.S. House.
Now to the nation's capital, the Biden administration has proposed a $1.9 trillion stimulus package.
Republicans say that is too costly of a package and want to trim it significantly.
But what perspective do people who study the economy have overall?
Alicia Nieves spoke with a lead economist and found an overwhelming majority have come to the same conclusion.
A $1.9 trillion stimulus package could be the next major aid aimed at helping the U.S. economy recover. The new stimulus bill is being backed by a Democratic majority in Congress, but questioned by most Republicans. They're worried about its price. Cutting through possible partisan positions, top economists are weighing in.
$1.9 trillion is roughly equivalent to 9% of the overall GDP of the U.S. economy, so a fairly large package. And it comes on the back of over $3 trillion of stimulus in 2020.
Gregory Dacko is a chief U.S. economist at Oxford Economics, a leader in global forecasting and quantitative analysis. Dacko agrees the amount of aid the government is proposing and has already dished out is unprecedented.
We have to remember that the conditions that we're living through are unprecedented too.
But from a purely economic standpoint, the U.S. can't afford the $1.9 trillion bill.
The U.S. government can borrow money at incredibly low rates right now, basically negative real yields. So from that point of view, we can certainly afford it. We can pay it back later. So that's not a problem. It still comes off to trade-offs, right? Will it stimulate enough growth to make it worthwhile?
Both Kyle Anderson, an economist at the Kelley School of Business, and Dacko at Oxford agree the proposed package is priced right to boost the economy, spurring job growth and an economic recovery potentially to pre-pandemic levels by the third quarter of 2021. In fact, a recent Reuters poll showed 90% of economists around the country believe the $1.9 trillion stimulus bill will, quote, significantly boost the economy, and 87% of those economists also agree that we could be back to pre-pandemic levels within a year. Critical to this timeline, though, is the proposed package getting passed quickly.
A significant portion of this spending is for vaccine distribution. And so there's kind of been this game in Washington about, do we need it or not? Let's wait and see. But we need the vaccine distribution funds right away. That's the biggest economic recovery tool we have right now.
Democrats are hoping for Republican support to quickly push the proposed stimulus relief through, although with a majority in both the Senate and the House, they don't need it. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
6:39 now, back at home. This past year has been challenging for a lot of small businesses here in Montana, including Meridian Boutique on Main Street.
But now there's light at the end of the tunnel. The boutique is featured in Vogue as one of 17 small businesses to support in the West. Not only is it the only business to be featured in Bozeman, it is the only business selected in Montana. Yesterday was the first day the shop opened back up after being closed for 3 weeks for renovations. The owner tells MTN News it feels just exceptional. The owner says a special thanks is due to the local community for all the continued support.
Good stuff there. Congratulations
cool.
to
I love
them on
that. That's great.
6:40 now. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. All kinds of headlines this morning, including some news from AstraZeneca. We'll have that. But first, here's a look at what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, the latest on the rift in the Republican Party. Plus, the Pentagon issues a military-wide stand down to root out political extremism in the ranks. What does this mean for its global operations, and why the January 6th assault on the Capitol was a wake-up call? And health officials work with the NFL to make sure that the Super Bowl does not turn into a super spreader event. Nobody wants that. We'll take you inside the stadium to see what's being done to keep the big game COVID-free. And Queen Latifah stars in the CBS reboot of The Equalizer. The award-winning actress talks with us about her new role and how the show will tackle racial injustice. We always like it when the Queen comes to play. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.